Welcome to the Lynn Community Television Show, a show which focuses on organizations working to make their impact right here in the city of Lynn. And here with me today, we have some members and leaders from the Oasis Youth Group over at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. We have Reverend Sarah Van Gulden and youth leader Selena Rev. Guys, thanks for being here today. We're going to talk a little bit about this organization more in detail, but it's a youth group. These guys meet from September through July at St. Stephen's every second and fourth Friday of the month from 6:30 p.m. to approximately 9 p.m. You also get at dinner too. There's definitely more ways you can find out information at ststephenslyn.org. We're going to talk about this organization a little bit more in detail, but first and foremost, I'd love to introduce my guests, Reverend Sarah Van Gulden and Selena Rev. Guys, let's take some time to make our viewership aware who you are and how you're involved with Oasis. Sarah, let's start with you.
Yes, hi. I am the assistant rector at St. Stephen's Church. My main role is with the youth, so church school, youth group. Also, I do work on Sundays as a priest, preaching, doing liturgy.
Cool. Selena?
Hi, I'm Selena Rev. I'm a youth leader at Oasis, so I kind of take on a leadership role within the group, and I've been there for about 3 years now.
All right, so 3 years, 2 years. Now, the organization's been around how long?
Oasis has been around for about 15 years. Before that, there was a youth group that was more of a Christian youth group. And when Jason Cruz, our youth minister, began, he really wanted to open the focus so that youth from all over Lynn could join. So that's why we have now Oasis Community Youth Group. Right,
which is a really nice little niche about it, is that anybody of any faith can come in. It doesn't have to be Episcopal, Christian, anything. It's about youth, being youths in the city of Lynn. We were talking a little bit before the program about some of the pillars: community building, outreach, engagement. Those are some of the big aspects as to what Oasis does. The organization was started, you said 12 years ago?
About 15.
About 15 years ago. Why did it start? What was the emphasis? What was the purpose?
Well, I think with Jason Cruz, our youth minister, who is a social worker and art therapist over at Raw Artworks, he saw that a lot of youth were looking for some sort of community, and he really felt that St. Stephen's was a good fit. We reach out to youth all over Lynn. We're interested in doing community projects, social justice, developing youth leaders, and so it just kind of came together, recognizing what the community of Lynn needed and what the church could offer.
So Selena, you're a student. You are also a member and the youth leader of Oasis. Tell me, what's the benefit to a youth leader like yourself?
As in the benefit I give to the group or what the group gives to me?
We could talk about both.
Okay. Well, what the group has given to me over the years has really been, it's kind of like a place where I was able to really find my true potential and be able to flourish. And that's something we also try to give to the other youth. When I started 3 years ago, I kind of like fell into the group because my brother had been in it previously, and it was more of like his thing. But I started coming more often, and I really started to gain a passion for social justice and like equality and things like that. And that's something that we try to teach and something that we try to strive for.
All right. So the organization, the three big pillars of it are community engagement, outreach, and community building, engagement and outreach. Can you give me some examples of what type of work these kids have actually done in the community of Lynn?
Okay. So one of our most famous things that we have done is the toy drive. We do a toy drive every year. And we actually make, sometimes it's puzzle pieces, sometimes it's other little art type things, and we go out and sell them in Boston. And the money that we make from that, we buy toys for kids who sign up for a toy drive every year. And we make them, we go out, we buy them, we do all of it, we organize it all ourselves.
So outside the toy drive, are there any other notable campaigns that Oasis has actually achieved in the city?
As for campaign kind of things, we kind of come together because in Oasis and in St. Stephen's, all the groups are kind of interconnected because we all offer something different. So we all try to come together and show what we can do as a community together. So we also have done the BU Youth Pride. That was sort of a collective Pride Day that we did together. And it really had kids from Raw, we had live paintings. They had kids from Oasis, like me. I was kind of setting up things, and we had kids from BU who were really taking on more of the workload, more of like the face value type things. So it was really a sentiment to how we together can come and show off what our potential and what we can do.
So outside of Oasis, are there other youth groups like Oasis?
At St. Stephen's?
No, just in the city of Lynn.
I do believe one of the Baptist church has a youth group. I'm not fully aware of other youth groups. And one thing that we take seriously too is bringing our youth group outside of Lynn. Many of us know that Lynn has a certain reputation, and so we make sure that we do overnights with other churches. So we went to Rockport in the fall and had an overnight with their youth group. Every winter we go on a youth retreat with other churches from Massachusetts, just to get out there and show what Lynn is really like, and to kind of get rid of some of those stereotypes.
Right. Because I mean, Lynn's a diverse town, but I mean, there's a lot of people in a small amount of area. So if you're an outsider and you come here, the hustle and bustle can really be a deterrent, and it can really turn people off. When you have a collection of 92,000 people together, we may seem less appealing. But in a group of 10 or 20 youth groups, then you can get an idea as to the actual citizenship and where these people stand and what they're doing in their community. The reason why I ask if you know of any other youth groups in the city of Lynn is to kind of allude to the collaborations that you guys do. Jason Cruz is your youth minister. He's also the art director over at Raw. So there's an example of some collaboration. What other collaborations can you speak on?
Well, we collaborate with some of the schools, different schools. We reach out to the youth. That's how we start our BU LGBTQ youth group, by reaching out to the different high schools. We've also met with some other groups. So we met with the youth group in Chelsea, trying to reach out to them. And then just trying to be open to what's happening in the community. We do a lot at St. Stephen's, so we don't always feel like have the capacity to start something new, but we're always ready to join with other groups who are already doing some really great work. Right now we're in conversation with the Food Project to learn more about their farming classes and courses they offer over the summer, and what we might do in the fall in terms of looking at food equality in our city.
All right. So agriculture is definitely a big part of what we're all talking about in America today. How are we going to feed everybody? Big thing on everybody's minds is the recent development and the data that's been gained by trying to harvest wildlife, I guess, so to say. So just eating meat, like eating a hamburger, is equivalent to like 2 gallons of water to process just that 1 pound of beef. It's a lot, and it's some stuff that we have to look at when we're talking about sustainability. So these are some interesting topics that you guys are talking. These are real world problems that you guys are talking about. I want to kind of stay on the collaborations aspect of it. I want to pitch a question to Selena. So you go on a lot of these trips and you meet with these organizations. How do these collaborations and how do these meetings benefit you and what you're trying to achieve over at Oasis?
Well, a lot of what we're able to do when we collaborate with a lot of groups is let the youth within our city and the youth even outside of our city know what we're trying to do, and that there is a place that can allow them to flourish, and that even though people look down upon Lynn very often because we're not always the wealthiest, as like Marblehead or someplace like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean we can't be prosperous in other ways. So we try to show that with what we do here.
Is that what it's going to take for more rich people to move into the city for us to get noticed? I mean, I think one of the niches about Lynn that I think makes it so great is that there are a lot of people who aren't working for the dollar. They're working for other people. And I think that's the real beauty in a community like Lynn, is that you've got a group of people who are all kind of living the same quality of life, and they're in it together. In a town like Marblehead or a town like, Swampscott, I always refer to those two guys because they're some of the nicest towns that I know. And rightfully so. I've lived in Swampscott before. It was a really nice town, very little trash on the street. You could see how people take a sense of pride in that. But there was a lot of separation that I felt from the rest of the community, just from the neighborhood that I lived in, how far apart the houses were. Everybody lived in a single family house. I grew up in an apartment building. It was like, boom, 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 go down the hall, room 2, that's where my boy lives. Like, we were always together. So I really think that, if it's the the amount of money that we do or don't have, if that's the reason why other towns are looking down on us, poo-poo on them, the real gold, the gold, is in the people and the actions that you guys are taking between each other. Recently, I just joined the Rotary Club, and this is like kind of like what Oasis is, but for like adults, and they're gonna pay a due and stuff like that, something you guys don't have to do. But the idea is to jump on board a team that has a plan of action already in place. And that's what Oasis does, is it provides youth with some direction. So, hey, you wanna give back. Well, there's plenty of ways that you can give back. Oasis is a place that's organized, and you're not going to end up wasting your time. You're probably going to learn a little bit of something too, and you'll even get dinner if you come to the meeting. So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Oasis, the Community Youth Group. It's an organization that's been around for 15 years, and it's open to all youths of all faiths. It's held at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church on the second and fourth Friday of the month. It runs from September through July, and you guys meet from 6:30 to approximately 9. You can get dinner too. And August is the month where you guys do your big trip. Let's talk about your big trip this year.
Yes, so every year we try to do some sort of big project. So last year we had the Oasis Film Institute, where we had 10 teenage girls come for a week, learn how to write stories, how to film them, and how to edit them. And so that was a great week that we had, and they were able to showcase 3 short documentary films in September. This August, instead of doing the Oasis Film Institute, we're taking a summer learning trip. In previous years, Oasis has taken mission trips down to Biloxi, Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina, upstate New York. And this year, as Jason and I were talking, just the whole issues around immigration and who's American and who's not and who belongs, we felt it was really important to look back at our history. And so we will be driving south through New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Virginia to stop at different sites on the Underground Railroad. Just return to that saying that if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right. Agreed, 100%. So now this is a huge part of American history, and we were talking about it before, and you had to actually do some research to pull this thing off. Talk about your struggle.
Right, so I went online, I think it was in February, and Googled Underground Railroad routes and trips, and nothing really came up that would show you how to do this. All the sites that I found are kind of organized by state, so if you want to do it within your state, that's easier, but to go from different state to state, there's really no organization, and that was really eye-opening and heartbreaking to me, that there are all these sites that are just kind of sitting there, and all they have is a placard saying, this was a safe house, this was a site, and I think that's true for many of our youth in Lynn. They feel invisible, that they feel like their stories don't matter. And so I think it'll be interesting to go to these places and talk about, how did your family come here to America? What did you have to leave behind? What are you moving towards? What are you trying to find? And so part of the experience will be visiting the sites, but also experiencing what it is like to have to get up and leave. So we haven't told the youth this yet, but some nights we may wake them up at 3 o'clock and say, we have to get in the van, we have to go. If we stay in longer, we're gonna get caught. Like, we have to go now. Just to experience a little bit of what that may have felt like.
Right. I think it's important to provide that insight too, because there's a huge separation. I mean, a lot of like what we're talking about happened in a time when none of those people are alive today. Right. So, for us to really kind of go and make that commitment to go on this trip, it shows a lot of commitment, because you're only committed to like the group and the overall mission, but you're also committed to bettering yourself, providing yourself with a little bit more insight, and maybe developing a little bit more of a personal feel to such an important aspect of American history. And it's something that we do all the time. We separate ourselves from that. That happened 100 years ago. Even like things that are gonna happen very soon, like our deaths. Now, these are things that we separate from ourselves, but it's very much part of our life. So, in the reality of it all, I just want to point to we've had a lot of organizations on here. Some organizations, they meet 4 times a month. Some organizations meet 4 times a year. And there's a certain level of commitment that each one needs. Oasis has a group of students who are 100% committed to its mission. And here we are, we're talking about a trip that's going to last for how long?
6 days.
6 days. And you guys are going to be trekking, right? You're walking through and you're doing majority of this stuff by foot. I mean, that's got to be a really cool thing to be a part of and organize. Today, millennials kind of get like, the shaft. Everybody's like, oh, those millennials, like they've always got their face in their phone. But Selena, you're an example of a millennial who actually puts forth a lot of hard work and dedication. I'm willing to bet not everybody in your generation works as hard as you. But I mean, what do you have to say, just to the overall stigma of millennials and where this country is headed? What message do you have for those guys, the millennials?
Well, I feel like the slack that we as millennials get often isn't something new. Like, people generally feel like the youth are too young to really know what they're talking about, or too young to really have a cultivated opinion or to really know their place. But we have a lot of potential. We have a lot in us that people may not see at first, and sometimes that can be a little disheartening. But we have to push through that and show them that, like, you may not believe in me, but I believe in me, and because of that, I can show you what I can do.
Sarah, as a youth, I remember being frustrated a lot because of things that Selena's talking about. The value of somebody's opinion of you, whether or not they respect your opinion, whether or not they think that you're right, or you could be right, or you could be onto something. Why is it important for society to value the opinion of our youths?
I mean, many people like to say, the youth are the future, and I would say the youth are the present. Like, they are here now, and if you were with us Friday nights, on the second and fourth Fridays, you would hear how passionate they are, especially about this election right now. I mean, most of them can't vote, but they will not stop talking about what they feel, how they feel, what they're reading, what they're writing, and how this is affecting them directly. And they're really mad that they don't feel like they have a voice. And so part of that is, as their priest and youth leader, is coaching them, how do you make your voice heard, through going to other churches, through coming on TV, taking this trip, and also helping them to know that they do have a voice. Many of our youth come, beaten down by family or friends or schools, and the bullying crisis that many of them are facing. So remind them that you have a lot to offer. Don't listen to those people that are trying to pull you down.
So many of these guys are facing their own individual crisis. So that's going to be tough. I mean, because there are times where you've got one guy or one gal who may be dealing with something a little bit more significant than somebody else. So you've got to kind of afford them with that special attention. Today, I mean, I'm a little hung up on the presidential election, because every 4 years, Americans turn into political geniuses. And I feel as though there's a lot more significance in the state elections and your local municipal elections. And if you really want to influence the presidential election, you can't just show up during primary season. And I'd really like to emphasize that to the youth. If politics is something that you're into, okay, it is like a season. It's like a sports season. And each way along the line, there could be a wild card. One guy gets bumped and the other guy gets in. I'd really stress to these guys, if you want to make an impact at the national level, you have to start within your community. Making impacts in your community on an individual basis is very important, but it's more important to the person, so that they can grow by their own selves, so that they can afford themselves with that experience, so when they go out into the field and it happens again, they're experienced and they have a tool bag to go to. Today, we're all talking about this presidential election. I would love to stress to people, get involved in your state, get involved in your municipal elections, and understand who you guys have in your representative seats, who you have in your congressional seats. These are the guys who make things move in Congress. It's not just the president. The president is like, Tom Brady's the president of the Patriots, right? Clearly that's the case. All right, but at the end of the day, it takes a whole team of guys to do what those guys do. So I'd really just like to stress that. I want to say thank you to our guests for coming on. The Oasis Youth Group, an organization that's been going on for 15 years. They're well established, they're well organized, and they're willing to make an impact. These guys meet throughout the year, starting in September, over at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. Go down there the second or the fourth Friday of the month, 6:30 p.m. start. Grab yourself a meal, hang out until about 9, talk about what matters to you as a youth. This organization, I think, is outstanding. What St. Stephen's is doing with Oasis and BU and groups like that, I commend you, and I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, Sarah. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Selena, too. Selena, it's really encouraging to see a millennial coming out, putting forth an effort in showing due diligence, and that's what's going to make your opinion worth its weight in gold.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for coming on to the program. That's it for the LCTV show. I want to say thank you to my guests from Oasis over at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. From the studio here at Lynn Community Television, I'm Sean Donahue, wishing you all the best.